Chapter 2 of A Voyage to Arcturus by David Lindsay. This Librivox recording is in the public domain. A Voyage to Arcturus. Chapter 2 In the Street. The three men gathered in the street outside the house. The night was slightly frosty, but particularly clear, with an east wind blowing. The multitude of blazing stars caused the sky to appear like a vast scroll of hieroglyphic symbols. Maskell felt oddly excited. He had a sense that something extraordinary was about to happen. "What brought you to this house tonight, Cragg? And what made you do what you did? How are we to understand that apparition?" "That must have been Crystalman's expression on its face," muttered Nightspore.
"We have discussed that, haven't we, Maskell? Maskell is anxious to behold that rare fruit in its native wilds."
Maskell looked at Cragg carefully, trying to analyze his own feelings toward him. He was distinctly repelled by the man's personality, yet side by side with his aversion a savage, living energy seemed to spring up in his heart that in some strange fashion was attributable to Cragg. "Why do you insist on this simile?" he asked.
"Because it is apropos. Nightspore's quite right. That was Crystalman's face, and we are going to Crystalman's country."
"And where is this mysterious country?"
"Torments."
"That's a quaint name, but where is it?" Cragg grinned, showing his yellow teeth in the light of the street lamp.
"It is the residential suburb of Arcturus."
"What is he talking about, Nightspore? Do you mean the star of that name?" he went on to Cragg.
"Which you have in front of you at this very minute,"
said Cragg, pointing a thick finger toward the brightest star in the southeastern sky.
"There you see Arcturus, and Torments is its one inhabited planet."
Maskell looked at the heavy, gleaming star, and again at Cragg. Then he pulled out a pipe and began to fill it. "You must have cultivated a new form of humor, Cragg."
"I am glad if I can amuse you, Maskell, if only for a few days."
"I meant to ask you, how do you know my name?"
"It would be odd if I didn't, seeing that I only came here on your account. As a matter of fact, Nightspore and I are old friends."
Maskell paused with his suspended match. "You came here on my account?"
"Surely, on your account and Nightspore's. We three are to be fellow travelers."
Maskell now lit his pipe and puffed away coolly for a few moments. "I'm sorry, Cragg, but I must assume you are mad." Cragg threw back his head and gave a scraping laugh.
"Am I mad, Nightspore?"
"Has Surtur gone to Torments?" ejaculated Nightspore in a strangled voice, fixing his eyes on Cragg's face.
"Yes, and he requires that we follow him at once."
Maskell's heart began to beat strangely. It all sounded to him like a dream conversation. "And since how long, Cragg, have I been required to do things by a total stranger? Besides, who is this individual?" "Cragg's chief," said Nightspore, turning his head away. "The riddle is too elaborate for me. I give up."
"You are looking for mysteries," said Cragg, "so naturally you are finding them. Try and simplify your ideas, my friend. The affair is plain and serious."
Maskell stared hard at him and smoked rapidly. "Where have you come from now?" demanded Nightspore suddenly.
"From the old observatory at Starkness. Have you heard of the famous Starkness Observatory, Maskell?"
"No. Where is it?"
"On the northeast coast of Scotland. Curious discoveries are made there from time to time."
"As, for example, how to make voyages to the stars. So this Surtur turns out to be an astronomer. And you too, presumably?" Cragg grinned again.
"How long will it take you to wind up your affairs? When can you be ready to start?"
"You are too considerate," said Maskell, laughing outright. "I was beginning to fear that I would be hauled away at once. However, I have neither wife, land, nor profession, so there's nothing to wait for. What is the itinerary?"
"You are a fortunate man. A bold, daring heart, and no encumbrances."
Cragg's features became suddenly grave and rigid.
"Don't be a fool and refuse a gift of luck. A gift declined is not offered a second time."
"Cragg," replied Maskell simply, returning his pipe to his pocket, "I ask you to put yourself in my place. Even if were a man sick for adventures, how could I listen seriously to such an insane proposition as this? What do I know about you, or your past record? You may be a practical joker, or you may have come out of a madhouse. I know nothing about it. If you claim to be an exceptional man and want my cooperation, you must offer me exceptional proofs."
"And what proofs would you consider adequate, Maskell?"
As he spoke, he gripped Maskell's arm. A sharp, chilling pain immediately passed through the latter's body, and at the same moment his brain caught fire. A light burst in upon him like the rising of the sun. He asked himself for the first time if this fantastic conversation could by any chance refer to real things. "Listen, Cragg," he said slowly, while peculiar images and conceptions started to travel in rich disorder through his mind. "You talk about a certain journey. Well, if that journey were a possible one, and I were given the chance of making it, I would be willing never to come back. For 24 hours on that Arcturian planet, I would give my life. That is my attitude toward that journey. Now, prove to me that you're not talking nonsense. Produce your credentials." Cragg stared at him all the time he was speaking, his face gradually resuming its jesting expression.
"Oh, you will get your 24 hours, and perhaps longer, but not much longer. You're an audacious fellow, Maskell, but this trip will prove a little strenuous, even for you. And so, like the unbelievers of old, you want a sign from heaven?"
Maskell frowned. "But the whole thing is ridiculous. Our brains are overexcited by what took place in there. Let us go home and sleep it off." Cragg detained him with one hand, while groping in his breast pocket with the other. He presently fished out what resembled a small folding lens. The diameter of the lens did not exceed 2 inches.
"First, take a peep at Arcturus through this, Maskell. It may serve as a provisional sign. It's the best I can do, unfortunately. I am not a traveling magician. Be very careful not to drop it. It's somewhat heavy."
Maskell took the lens in his hand, struggled with it for a minute, and then looked at Cragg in amazement. The little object weighed at least 20 pounds, though it was not much bigger than a crown piece. "What stuff can this be, Cragg?"
"Look through it, my good friend. That's what I gave it to you for."
Maskell held it up with difficulty, directed it toward the gleaming Arcturus, and snatched as long and as steady a glance at the star as the muscles of his arm would permit. What he saw was this. The star, which to the naked eye appeared as a single yellow point of light, now became clearly split into 2 bright but minute suns, the larger of which was still yellow, while its smaller companion was a beautiful blue. But this was not all. Apparently circulating around the yellow sun was a comparatively small and hardly distinguishable satellite, which seemed to shine, not by its own, but by reflected light. Maskell lowered and raised his arm repeatedly. The same spectacle revealed itself again and again, but he was able to see nothing else. Then he passed back the lens to Cragg without a word, and stood chewing his underlip.
"You take a glimpse, too,"
scraped Cragg, proffering the glass to Knightspore. Knightspore turned his back and began to pace up and down. Cragg laughed sardonically and returned the lens to his pocket.
"Well, Maskell, are you satisfied?"
Arcturus, then, is a double sun. And is that third point the planet Tormance?
Our future home, Maskell.
Maskell continued to ponder. You inquire if I am satisfied. I don't know, Cragg. It's miraculous, and that's all I can say about it. But I'm satisfied of one thing. There must be very wonderful astronomers at Starkness, and if you invite me to your observatory, I will surely come.
I do invite you. We set off from there.
And you, Nightspore? Demanded Maskell. The journey has to be made, answered his friend in indistinct tones, though I don't see what will come of it. Cragg shot a penetrating glance at him.
More remarkable adventures than this would need to be arranged before we could excite Nightspore.
Yet he is coming.
But not Kanamori. He is coming merely to bear you company.
Maskell again sought the heavy, somber star, gleaming in solitary might in the southeastern heavens, and as he gazed, his heart swelled with grand and painful longings, for which, however, he was unable to account to his own intellect. He felt that his destiny was in some way bound up with this gigantic, far-distant sun, but still he did not dare to admit to himself Cragg's seriousness. He heard his parting remarks in deep abstraction, and only after the lapse of several minutes, when, alone with Nightspore, did he realize that they referred to such mundane matters as traveling routes and times of trains. "Does Cragg travel north with us, Nightspore? I didn't catch that." "No, we go on first, and he joins us at Starkness on the evening of the day after tomorrow." Maskell remained thoughtful. "What am I to think of that man?" "For your information," replied Nightspore wearily, "I have never known him to lie." End of Chapter 2.